Usually it takes, I used to work aerospace years ago, and I worked on mostly, I didn't work any space programs, but mostly aircraft programs, and there's a lot of failure in aerospace, and they did it right the first time, which was kind of surprised me, because it usually takes Musk people about maybe 3 or 4 times to get it right, but they got it right yesterday, so that was an amazing sight. And we got a sonic boom. Came over that when the booster came back. We heard the sonic boom when it came down at our house. We're about 20 minutes away. No damage or anything like that. Just kind of, just a big boom. And I used to live in Palmdale, or I was in Lancaster, California, and out there at Edwards Air Force Base, and I've seen the shuttle come down quite a few times, and all the planes that used to fly out of Plant 42 out there in Palmdale. In fact, we worked at Plant 42 Palmdale on a couple programs, classified programs, and so I'm familiar with the sonic boom, so it wasn't bad at all, and it was great. It was a great deal. I'm glad we got something like that going on, because we need somebody like Musk that has that vision. He might be a P.T. Barnum type, a personality, but you got to sell that stuff, and and all those great guys like Pete, they definitely like to sell stuff. And Steve Jobs comes to hand right off the bat, and a few other people through the years, P.T. Barnum, and guys like that. So, see what else is going on. Just a little bit about me. I've been retired for the last couple of years. I worked for about 50 years. I guess that was enough. I actually wanted to work a little longer, but just like any company, the philosophy changed, and so the direction of the company changed. So they wanted younger people. So they quite a few of us was forced to retirement, but haven't been able to find anything else, even though I'd like to go back to work. I've been trying, but not so lucky. Not much down here. I mean, for years and years and years, it was a maquilas. And for those who don't know what a maquila is, it's a group of American factories usually that migrate to Mexico, and they go in a little place called Sistemesis, and you'll see maybe a half a dozen of them in there, and they all make all kinds of usually automotive parts. And then what they do is they make them, and then they send them across the river, send them across Rio Grande, and then they send them to a distribution center, and then the distribution center sends them all over the country. And that's basically that. I managed that for about 20 years. And before that, like I said, I was in aerospace. So, missed that quite a bit. But in the late 90s, the politics changed. We basically won the Cold War. So they wasn't wait for the train to go by here. So yes, we still have trains down here, and so there really wasn't any need for expensive weapon systems. So the military, it goes up and down, up and down. So being part of the military-industrial complex, those jobs ended, and so I moved over to automotive. And so we came down here back in 2002, and been down here ever since. And so I never thought we'd stay down here this long, but um, what happened was that my mom died, and my dad was by himself up in Illinois because I'm the only child, and I brought him down here to take care of him. And he lived right next door for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And he finally passed away. And by that time, it was too late because I knew I only had a few more years to work. So that's how we're stuck. And now the housing is so expensive anywhere else that, we basically can't go anywhere else because of that. Our mortgage is pretty cheap. I mean, we live pretty frugal. I always say we live in the hood in Rancho Viejo, and in the projects. But actually, it's a condo complex, and it's pretty nice. I mean, it's old, but I mean, we got a swimming pool, and we got most condos don't have a 2-car garage, stuff like that, and we have that. And the area here, as you can see by the videos, is really, really nice. Excellent for riding e-bikes out here, because down here in South Texas, they put speed bumps all over the place because we got these kids, those damn kids, they say, they get in their cars and they go like a bat out of hell, and then so they put a speed bump. They think that's going to slow them down. And we don't do that out here because we've got golf carts, and the people that play golf, and they're paying a lot of money to play golf out here, and they don't want to be slowed down by speed bumps or have that bumpity ride. So I doubt if we ever get speed bumps out here. It's not in the best interest. Matter of fact, there's a golf cart right there. Hey, how's it going? Got a lot of golf carts, probably a lot of dog walkers. Not too many e-bikes. Me and Dave are not the only ones. There's a lady and her husband. He rides a gravel bike, and she rides a foldable bike. You see them every once in a while, a couple nights a week. I ride just at least 6-7 nights a week. Diva rides as much as she can. She's got a business going on, and some a lot of her clients are on the weekends. So so she has to work on Saturday nights and Sunday nights, doing photography shoots because most of them are outside. And but you gotta make money, and that's how it goes, So, like I said, there's hardly any e-bikes out here, but I think we'll see more eventually. Anyway, getting back to Maquila's story, Maquila's, they have distribution centers in Brownsville, usually. And then that's where I worked at. I was a program manager at this. And I ran the programs in Mexico. And so, but, those jobs for the rank and file really don't pay very well. It's in Texas, too, is that the minimum wage in Texas is quite low. It's probably, I would say, probably the lowest in the country compared to places like Mississippi or something like that. And so they kept the wages right there enough. And then the cost of insurance is so high, is that those families that worked at those distribution centers that drive the forklifts and stuff like that, they can barely put food on the table by the time they pay for medical insurance. So there's not that much disposable income. But with SpaceX coming in, those guys are making some pretty good money, and a lot of the people coming in are from, Musk shut down all his stuff in California, and moving it down here. And so he's bringing in the young people from, San Francisco area, Hawthorne, North LA, all that stuff where SpaceX at. And so they're bringing in some larger salaries, and they're used to spending money on bikes and stuff like that. So I suspect that as that workforce gets older, I think they'll probably be moving over to e-bikes. So there's last time I heard, there was about 2,600 people working out at SpaceX. That place is jumping out there. We haven't been out there for maybe 6 months, and we're going to do a video out there. We were kind of waiting for this launch to get over with before we can get out, because there's only one way to get out there, and that's what they call Highway 4. And for the most part, it's a 2-lane highway, and SpaceX people are going back and forth so much with all their equipment and all their employees that it's a lot of traffic on that road. So we were just right out there, bikes out in the car on the bike rack, and then unmount at Star City out there. I think I call it Star City. And then ride around, take some videos and stuff. You'd be amazed, SpaceX out there. It's, I don't know if any of you guys have worked on government contracts or anything like that, but usually what happens is that, these plants, are usually, when I worked at Plant 42 out in Palmdale, he had this big parking lot, and then you would have to walk maybe an eighth of a mile or whatever to the front gate, and then you'd have to go through security, you'd have to badge in, and then you'd have to walk another quarter of a mile to get to the main building. So it was a pretty good jog. And even when I worked in Boeing in St. Louis, it was the same situation. Not the case of SpaceX. That SpaceX is literally right on Highway 4. And the rocket gantry and all that stuff. It is that close to the road. It's very, very close to the road. Now, I think they may be moving it back eventually. Maybe that second rocket launch stand they're building, maybe that's farther back, but for the most part, it's right there. Matter of fact, the employees have their cars parked on the side of the road. For a long time, there wasn't actually any adequate parking out there for the employees. They just parked where they could. But now Musk they recently built a 6-story parking garage out there, so that must be where so it was, as they always say, is pretty much a startup operation, and we know the reason why Musk bought that area out there. For one thing, geographically, it's real close to the equator, and it takes a lot less to launch a rocket up in space. And also, too, it's in Texas. And let's face it, Texas is a business-friendly state. We have a lot less regulations and things like that in Texas than, let's say, places like in California or New York or something like that. And then also the land was cheap. Like I said, for years it was just nothing but just a beach. Okay, you go out there and not a very good beach. Most people, they go to the beach, they go over to South Padre, which is right across the bay, and and hardly anybody went out there. There was always somebody boondocking out there or something, but for the most part, it wasn't much out there. Well, Musk came in there and snapped that area up out there, and he had a sympathetic county government, which is good, and in my opinion, and so he's made a gold mine out there. So eventually, we'll probably start seeing launches as they get ready to go to Mars, I would say probably as soon as next year, we'll probably see a launch maybe once every month. Now they're launching about every couple months, every 90 days. And long, you know, when they work out the kinks from the last flight and they get FAA approval and all that stuff. But, you know, I think it's going to be very common, and I believe that's going to be the site where we go to Mars from. So, and maybe even the, don't know this for a fact, but maybe, you know, when we return to the moon, okay, under project, I'm trying to figure out the name. I even read Artemis, okay, and that's going to be this. They're going to use that site to launch the vehicles up there, and so, you know, he plans on sending a whole fleet of rockets to Mars, and you know, the moon is sort of like a lift pad, so we'll go from there. There's more people this time of night are walking their dogs and stuff. Let's see what else. You know, I'm a big baseball fan. I'm a St. Louis Cardinal fan, born and raised. Always been a Cardinal fan. You know, we didn't make the playoffs this year. Everybody said we had a terrible season. Yeah, we did the first 6 weeks of the season, but then after Mother's Day, we kind of caught fire. Kind of had a bad month of August. That kind of put us out of the race. And we still finished second in the division behind Milwaukee. And so there's a lot of scuttlebutt going around. The Cardinals could do this and the Cardinals do that. It's just, you know, just hot stove talk. They got nothing else to talk about, and so that's what they talk about. And, you know, in the baseball playoffs, they started. I was hoping Detroit would stay in it, and because they're kind of like the miracle babies of the team. They were like close to last place in July, and then they won a ton of games, and they got into the playoffs and got through the first round, or at least close to it, and gave Cleveland a run for their money. And so that did okay, but then, you know, they got beat, so Detroit's out of it. I was hoping San Diego would get in it because the manager used to manage the Cardinals, Mike Shelp, and I thought he kind of got a raw deal in St. Louis. He got the Cardinals in the playoffs 3 times, and then they fired him one day, and they fired him over the phone, they say, and he thought he get an extension on his contract, and instead he got fired, and they fired him over philosophical differences. So that's what the story is. But, you know, the Cardinals will be around next year. I'll follow them no matter what they do. So maybe next year, yeah, it's some pretty good ball players. You know, everybody was disappointed in Goldschmidt and Arenado this year, especially especially Goldschmidt. He didn't have a very good year, and but I don't think he'll be back with the Cardinals next year. But you know, you look at the first basemen in the league, in the National League, and he hit 22 homers. He hit like 250, drove in about 70 runs, 65 runs, and you compared him to all the other first basemen, with the exception of, you know, Freddie Freeman and a couple other ball players. He did okay. Is he worth $26 million a year? No, not that much. But not the year he had. But he still plays a really good first base defensively. And but he's having a hard time. I could tell watching him at bat that he had a hard time. He's losing his bat speed. He has a hard time getting around on that high and inside pitch. And Arenado, you know, Arenado's just had a bad year. I mean, he did okay. I mean, you know, Arenado, but, you know, there again, Arenado probably best salary in baseball. I think he's at 35 million or whatever. These salaries are just astronomical, but he still plays an excellent. And you know, he only hit 15 homers. His power was down a little bit, quite a bit, but you know, I think they could pitch around Goldschmidt, so they was pitching Arenado, but whatever. But you know, we had some other guys, you know, like Mason Wynn. I thought Mason Wynn was fantastic, and we know him. A lot of these guys, we run up to Corpus Christi. The Astros have a minor league team up there, and the Baby Birds, the minor league team, they come into Corpus Christi once a year. We always run up there and catch a couple games. And then, you know, I follow the Springfield Cardinals quite a bit. And a lot of those ball players, are, you know, in a couple of years, they get up to the majors. And we always say, oh, look at that guy. Well, Mason Wynn, we got to meet his parents when he was in the minor leagues. Real nice family. And so, anyway. We're on, like I said, we're just riding around Rancho tonight. You know, looking at the homes, and like I said, a lot of these homes are so nice. That house over there, I don't know if you can see it, but it seems like they've been building that for 2 years or more, maybe 3. They made some more progress on it in the last 6 months, but you know, that house there kind of looks like the type of house that, if you remember the old Al Pacino movie Scarface, where Tony Montana lived. You know, let me introduce you to my little buddy, okay? And it's a multi-million-dollar home. And here's another new subdivision. This used to be not too long ago. Nothing but cotton fields. You can see over here that we did a video on cotton fields out here, short, during the spring. See, I never knew that cotton fields. I thought the cotton fields, they harvest those in the fall like you do good old corn up in Illinois, where I'm from. But that's not the case. They harvest those in July. And that was interesting. Well, that's kind of cool. And they're starting a new house over here on the right. That's right on the Resaca. That's going to be a multi-million-dollar home. And we've got these other homes down here. This is a brand new house that is built. And then, you know, this house over here, this one house up here, they've been working on that for a long, long time. They got this big concrete or cinder block wall around it, as you can see up here. And so that's pretty interesting. Yeah, this is the one, they put a pool in this. They put a pool in here, and you can see how big that house is over there with the cinder block wall and everything, you know. And it seems like they're about done with that. They poured the garage, and they put the driveway the other day. So we come out here, and it's part of our daily ride, and look at how far they're doing with all the new construction. And so for a long time. So, you know, I'm going to cut it off, and we're coming up to the scene of the famous mud hole where this spring we went out, and I thought I'd be Steve McQueen and The Great Escape. And for us old timers, you guys remember that movie. And I come across here, I went down that hill, and then I came up here and tried to turn around, and then I basically fell right on my ass on my bike. There was no harm, but then I lost my shoe and everything else. And anyway, you guys have had knee replacements. Like I was a water buffalo stuck in the mud. Thought I was in the and the wild planet, you know. And Diva pulled me up, and I got back on the bike and we rode some more. So I believe that'll be about it for now. So please leave any comments you want to say. We'll answer them all. You can send me an email at Doug, D-O-U-G, .blunt, B-L-U-N-T, at iCloud.com. We're looking forward to your comments, and please subscribe and give us a like, will you? So we're trying to grow our channel. So that's it for today. Bye-bye, everybody.